Good morning everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Today I want to do the first in a series of videos about allotments and how to start a new one. There are tremendous benefits from having your own allotments, and it's very exciting starting off. It can also be very daunting. Now, 9 out of 10 allotments that are let every year are in a right sorry state. Perhaps somebody's not worked it properly before and it's been taken off them, and the Allotment Association will just re-let it. Or you might be filling dead men's shoes, but in all cases the allotments haven't been maintained and they're in a right sorry state. You know, you can have weeds up to here, broken down sheds and greenhouses. It could be rubbish strewn everywhere, and it's, you know, nobody's going to clear it up for you. It's down to you to clear it up and make that a usable plot again. But it is doable, so we'll move on, and over the next few videos we'll talk about how to get on top of these things. Now, most of the time you will have been on a waiting list to get onto an allotment site, and sometimes those lists can be incredibly long, and the phone call will come out of the blue and they'll say, would you like to meet down there on the plot on Saturday? We've got one we think you might like, you might be interested in. And you toddle off down there and you go and have a look, and it seems like a field in comparison to your back garden. It's probably only a small plot, but it will seem like a field. I'd say the weeds will be over head height. It'd be quite a mess. I'm just preparing you for what I think most people will face. If it's any better than that, then good for you. You're very lucky, but that really doesn't happen that often. So you go down and you have a look, and you're all excited, and you accept it, and then you want to go and start working on it. But there are a couple of things you really need to do first. You need to do your homework on the plot first before you accept it, because you could run into a few problems, and I'll go over them right now. Right, the edge of my plot is literally 5 foot beyond the camera, just over there, and it runs all the way down over there. Most of my plot is behind me, as you can see, or you can see some of it anyway. What you can't see is that the sun rises over in that direction and sets over there. So most of the day it arcs around over there. Now, if that edge fence there was at the bottom of a railway embankment, what it would mean is that in the winter most of this plot wouldn't get any light. And unless you go down in winter, you're not going to necessarily know that, unless you physically work out where the sun is and where its trajectory is throughout the day and then throughout the year. If you know these things before you accept the plot, you can work it out and say, well, that's going to be rubbish. By the time the sun comes round in the winter and gets on the plot, it's going to be 12 o'clock, and then at 3 o'clock it's getting dark, and you're thinking, well, I can't grow much in winter with 3 hours sunlight. So there is a way of finding out these things, and I want to recommend 3 programs for your computers or your phones. The first one is called suncalc.net. I'll put all the links in the description. The second one is Photographer's Ephemeris, don't worry about the name. And the third one is Google Earth. Right, the first 2 are connected, Suncalc and Photographer's Ephemeris. I used to use the Photographer's Ephemeris all the time for recommending to other people, but now when you go onto their site, and the app is free to use there, you have to register and sign up, so it's a long-winded process. Suncalc, on the other hand, is just a site that's available. You go on there, and the first thing you'll see, the message says that maps are broken on it. Take no notice of that and just go into it. You'll be faced with a Google map. Zoom in, find your location for your allotment site, and what it will do is it will show you for that given day where the sun rises and where the sun sets. But it's a little bit more clever than that, because on towards near the top of the program, on the page you're looking at, you can set the day and the time. So change the date to June, change it to September, and see where the sun rises and where the sun sets. Now you can work out from the surroundings, because you'll know the area that you're looking at, you can work out from the surroundings what will be in shade on your plot and what won't. For instance, if you had that railway embankment behind the camera there, you'd be able to work out that you're only going to get 3 hours sun in the winter, which is pretty much useless for you. So you can find these things out by using a couple of online tools. As I say, photographer's ephemeris is exactly the same, but it's far much more involved. There's more technicalities to the program and you have to register. So SunCalc, for a brief look to know where the sun rises and sets any time of the year. There's only one more thing to take into account with that, is that the winter sun, the summer sun is up there as it passes over, the winter sun is over there. It's a much lower angle in the sky, so take that into account as well when you're looking at that program. So they're the first two things. Now the third one I mentioned was Google Earth. Again, if you zoom in to where your plot is or where the allotment site is, you can actually look at your plot from the Google image data, and that image data might be 6-12 months old. So it might give you an indication of what the previous plot holder had used the site for, whether it was used for chickens or ducks, or whether it was just a nice garden with flowers in, or whether he had it set out with raised beds and he was growing lots of fruits and veg in it, or it might have been derelict. I mean, it might not have been used, and it might not have been used for years because of the sun issue, maybe, or other reasons. But what you can also do while you're there in Google Earth and you're looking at that, go to the view menu at the top of the screen, scroll down to historical images. You'll now have a little bar pop up, and any of the past images that Google have used on their image data from their satellite will be there. Now I've got Google image data for this site here going back to 2003, and it showed most of the plots around me just as a horse paddock. There was nothing here before, absolutely nothing. So again, that can show you whether your plot has been used before, what it was used for, and where it was likely to have been. So there are three useful tools that straight away, as soon as you know that you've got a plot or you're going to be offered one, that you can use straight away to get yourself some information about that plot before you go get all excited and say, yeah, I'll take it. So that's the first hint, if you like. Now, when you go to view the plot, there are certain things that can happen, and it's very easy to get distracted. You could view the plot and you could be 8 foot tall in weeds in there, but in the corner of the plot you spy a nice shed. I mean, it's in really reasonable condition, and you think, well, morning's work, I could patch that up and that'll be a cracking shed. But you've forgotten everything else you've seen. So I always carry one for down and down the allotments. Have a little notebook with you so you can take notes. Don't forget also to take your phone as well. You can take photos, and don't be afraid to use them while you're being shown around, and have a good look around and assess first. Make notes, ask questions. Ask questions. Is the water included in the rent? Where is the water? Is there a tap close to you? Is it a tap, or do you have to save rainwater to water your plants? What is the situation with that? So another thing, some sites supply manure. They get a couple of deliveries free every year, and everyone's entitled to use it. Can you use it? Is there a contribution that they need for it? Where does it land? Where's the water? Can you use hose pipes? These are the sort of questions you need to be asking and thinking. And while you're walking around the plot, you can see here, this looks a mess. This is my flower bed. I was full of flowers through the summer this year. They're all dying off now because of frost, and it looks a mess. It is, but I can get this sorted out in a couple of months, not a problem. It'll be ready to replant next year. When you're walking into a plot and it's all weed, and you don't know where anything was, and you're looking around kind of befuddled, and where do I start with this lot? Use your feet. Step around through the grass and you'll find bed edges. I know there's a bed edge here, and you can feel it. You'll kick the top of it and you think, there was a bed there. Follow it around, try and work out the size and which direction it's going and what's already there. Take a photo of it. Clear a bit of grass with your foot, take a photo of it. Hold your camera up high, get an aerial view of the plot. All these little things will help you as you move forward and as you decide whether you want to take that plot on. Now, as you first go onto the site, wherever it may be, have a reasonable look around, and the first thing I would be looking for is, are the sheds on the site? Now some allotment sites don't allow sheds, any structures of any kind. Some won't allow greenhouses or polytunnels, and again this is something you're going to need to know about, because you know, you might take on the plot and then you'll want a shed to store your tools in, and if you can't have one, where are you going to put them? Some sites have purpose-built lockers, brick-built, proper sturdy lockers that you can put your tools in, and they don't allow sheds on site. You know, if so, where is that? How far away from your plot is that? Because you've got to take your tools out during the day and then put them back at night when you're finished on the plot. You know, how far is that? Is that going to be a problem for you? And also, how secure are they, if that's the case? You know, how secure is the site? Is it a locked gate to get into the site? Do they plan to make any changes there as well? So again, these are more questions you really need to get answered as soon as possible, and preferably before you actually take the plot on, so you know what you're getting yourself involved in. Now, when you've been shown the site, you've asked all your questions, you've got all your information together, and you're just about to leave, and the person showing you around is leaving with you, just ask, can I have 10 minutes on my own on the plot? I just want to have a look over it. If you've got a tape measure, you can do a very quick measure of the plot to gain an idea of its size. Maybe measure a shed up if it's there, or measure the size of any beds that might be there, just to get a final feeling. And if they've left you, just say, look, just snap that padlock on the gate when you leave. That's great, because you can walk around the site and you can talk to plot holders. You can ask about that particular plot. When was it last used? What did they grow on there? What did they use the plot for? And or why wasn't it used? Or you may find that there's a very damp area in the plot that never grows anything, and you're saddled with paying with half a plot that's useless. And try not to give an answer straight away. They may say that 3 other people have looked at it already. They might be trying to, you know, offload it onto you as quickly as possible. Just say, well, I'm going to go home, have a cup of tea, and I'm going to have a think about it, and then I'll give you a call. Give me an hour. And you can do that, and you can go home, you can look at your photos that you took, look at the notes that you wrote down in your book, think about everything that you've seen and that you've heard in that last hour. You can check out the data from those programs that I mentioned right at the very start of this video. You can put it all together, form a decision, and call them up, and either take it on or say, no, stuff it, I'm not interested in that plot, but the next one will be much better. So, you know, it's all about doing some homework, putting some effort in right at the start. Running an allotment plot is a lot of effort, but you want to do it efficiently. So if you do it right from the word go, the next time you turn up to that plot, if you take it on, you can crack on with work. You'll know where to start. Now, in the next few videos, I'm going to go over some various starter aspects of how to approach dealing with a plot. Everything from digging to sowing seeds. I'm going to go right through, and there'll be a number of videos between now and next spring. We're in October now, but I'll take you through as much as I possibly can from a starter point of view, as if you've never planted a seed before or ever grown a carrot. So I'll do my best and take you through all that with the very basics of stuff to get you going, and we'll go from there. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. The next time I produce a video like this, you won't miss it. But for now, stay safe, look after yourselves, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.